Every year, the NBA season brings with it a few surprises that nobody would have been able to see coming. From role players that take their game to a star level, to contenders that suddenly aren't as intimidating as they looked on paper. Most of these cases are driven by situations that are common in today's league. Some players develop at a faster than expected rate, while others take a step back. Some players change teams during the offseason, and others suffer injuries that make them unavailable. And while it's normal for most teams to improve or get worse from one season to another, it usually takes a drastic change to turn an almighty dynasty into arguably the worst team in the league after one single offseason. So, if you've wondered how it is that a championship team ended up at the bottom of the standings seemingly out of nowhere, stay with us, as today on Courtside, we'll be talking about what's happening to the Golden State Warriors. Back in the 2014-15 season, with the arrival of Coach Steve Kerr, the Warriors took the league by storm and went from a solid playoff team to a contender and eventual champion. What came after that turned out to be one of the best stories in the NBA in the last few decades. Golden State made the finals on 5 consecutive seasons, effectively beginning a new dynasty in the league and especially in the Western Conference. Stephen Curry won back-to-back MVP trophies while leading his team to 3 titles and, along the way, formed one of the most dangerous duos of all time with Kevin Durant when he joined them on the 2016 offseason. The three-point shooting style that characterized the Warriors revolutionized the league and became the standard playing style for most teams. Many teams thought that they could beat Kerr's players at their own game, and most of them failed at it. With what seemed to be the most overpowering team the league had seen in decades, the only question was, how long would the dynasty last? When the 2018-19 season started, Kevin Durant was playing on the last year of his contract with Golden State, and people expected him to leave at the end of the season and put an end to what was often labeled as a super team. The many rumors circulating seemed to affect the Warriors' play during the regular season, and for the first time in years, they looked vulnerable. But their talent was just too much to overcome, and when the playoffs arrived, no team in the Western Conference was able to stop them. There was a reason for concern, as Durant had been ruled out indefinitely because of an injury suffered during the second round. But even without Durant, the team seemed to be evenly matched against their finals opponent, the Toronto Raptors, and most expected Golden State to be the first team to three-peat since the Lakers did it back in the early 2000s. But things turned out to be way different. After 4 games, the Warriors were losing the series 3-1. They were on the verge of elimination and had to win 3 games in a row to pull off the comeback. While it seemed like a difficult task, the announced return of Durant provided them with hope, and throughout the first 2 quarters of Game 5, it certainly looked like a possibility. But then, the unexpected happened. Durant suffered another injury, a ruptured Achilles tendon, and things would only get worse for the Warriors from that point on. They managed to win Game 5, but then in Game 6 also lost Klay Thompson after he suffered a torn ACL. They gave the Raptors a run for their money, but at that point were too depleted by injuries and lost the game and the series in their last game at Oracle Arena. The severity of both Thompson's and Durant's injuries meant that they would miss most or all of the following season. Things didn't look too good for the Warriors' short-term future, and things would get worse as soon as free agency started. Durant announced on June 30th that he was planning to sign a deal with the Brooklyn Nets, putting an end to his time with the Warriors. Eventually, this transaction turned into a sign and trade, and Durant was traded for D'Angelo Russell. With Durant gone, 2015 Finals MVP Andre Iguodala traded away and Thompson out for the season, Golden State's road to a 6th consecutive Finals appearance was not clear at all. But still, most people thought that the team would remain competitive. There were hopes that Curry and Russell would be a great offensive pairing, and that Draymond Green's defensive impact would be enough to make them contenders again. But these hopes quickly faded away as the season started. On October 30th, during the 4th game of the regular season, Curry suffered a fracture on his left hand after an opposing player fell over it. This injury would make him miss all but 5 games and would quickly sink the Warriors' hopes of remaining competitive. Throughout their first 20 games, Golden State had a record of just 4 wins and 16 losses, making it their worst start since the 1999-2000 season. And after realizing that this season's goals needed to be changed, they went into experimentation mode. The first thing they needed to assess was D'Angelo. Russell was a great player and an all-star talent that's able to have an immediate impact and shine for the right team. But the problem was that the Warriors were never the right team. As soon as they acquired him, questions were raised on how would he fit along with Curry and Thompson, and how good would he be on their system. D'Angelo never got the chance to play with Thompson, and he only shared the court with Curry 4 times. And although his numbers were great, as time passed, it became evident that he just wasn't the right fit for the future of the franchise. Because of that, after only 33 games played with the Warriors, he was traded on February 6th to the Minnesota Timberwolves in exchange for former first overall selection Andrew Wiggins and 2 draft pick selections. Aside from letting Russell go early, Golden State also decided to take time off their remaining healthy star and defensive anchor, Draymond Green, playing him fewer minutes and even keeping him out of games at certain times to make sure he avoided any potential injury. This playing time was in turn given to their younger players, which produced an unexpected but pleasant surprise as rookie forward Eric Paschall emerged as one of the top players of his class. Paschall proved to be a valuable scoring option and a versatile player that could turn into a key piece for the future of the franchise. During 60 games played during the season, he averaged 14 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 2.1 assists per game. He's also ranked in the top 5 in points, rebounds, and shooting percentage among rookies, being the only player in his class to do so. Selected with the 41st overall pick, he's proven to be perhaps the greatest steal of the 2019 draft. And so, while it might seem like the 2019-2020 season was a complete loss for the Warriors, they may be able to use this year to come back as a better team than what they thought they would have otherwise been. Yes, they finished the regular season with the worst record, suffered their first 10-game losing streak since 2002, and weren't even close to making the playoffs, despite having made it the previous 7 seasons. This was a bad season for the team, and there's no discussing that. But in having a season like this, they may have been able to better prepare to contend for the following seasons. Having made the last 5 finals is a great feat, but that playing time that is accumulated can take a toll on players' bodies. That Thompson and Curry had to miss most or all of the season could probably be a side effect of their prolonged success. But the fact that they were able to have a whole season to rest and make sure that their bodies are as healthy as possible will certainly help them in the future, and the same applies to Green. That Golden State's Big Three can be at their physical peak will help them return to the playoffs and compete for the NBA title once again. And that doubters have declared their dynasty to be over will only help to fuel their desire to prove them wrong. The moves they made during the season will also help their chances. Andrew Wiggins is a talented forward that will be able to complement the Warriors' star players better than D'Angelo would have ever been. He's a versatile player that is a proven scorer, can shoot the three-pointer, and can play on the defensive end on the court without problems. The playing time given to Paschall could also help him turn into a solid role player or even a sixth man that's able to provide a scoring punch off the bench while also continuing to get better at defense. And last but not least, their poor record, the worst in the league, will provide the team with one of the first picks on the upcoming NBA draft. They, along with the Cavaliers and the Timberwolves, are tied for the best odds to win the lottery. And if they get the first overall pick, they might be able to select a talented young player that's able to help them keep winning in the long term. Or instead, they could trade that pick for a player that's able to improve their chances right away. Whatever they decide to do with their selection and the ones they acquired from Minnesota in the trade for Wiggins might be one of the most interesting stories for the upcoming season. To sum it up, the Warriors did have a horrible season following their loss in the finals at the hands of the Raptors. And this snapped various winning streaks that the franchise had been enjoying over the last years. But fans have more than a few reasons to be optimistic about the future. When a new season starts, the team's Big Three will be fully healthy and hungry. And they'll be surrounded by what could probably be their best supporting cast in the last couple of years. So, we believe that the Warriors still have a bright future ahead of them. But what about you? Do you think that they'll be able to regain their championship form? Or do you believe that their best years are already in the past? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, remember to like it and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done that already for more NBA content. We are Courtside.